This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to join by promoter Bob Arum once again here in Las Vegas. Bob, you've seen more of me than your family at the minute. How are you doing? What did you make of today's press conference?
Well, I think the press conference, it ended up well. I mean, they can say anything they want to each other, as abusive as it may be. It's just words. So no harm, no foul. But once that happened, you don't have them pose together with a stupid stare down with no security. All you're doing is looking for trouble. And the producer of this event agreed that there would be no stare down, no. And and then of course he reneged, and told the talent to get him to do a stare down. And that's when I went crazy, because it would have jeopardized the whole event.
How come in the first place then a face-off wasn't agreed beforehand?
No, that contrary. We have a co-promoter, PBC, and we met with them, and they advocated the same way we did, no stare down. No, both of us, and we both informed the producer as the co-promoters of the fight, no stare down. And the producer agreed. And then, like a wise guy, because he wanted to do something special that would play all over the world, particularly if he got some violence between the two fighters, he told the talent in her ear, in her earpiece, to get them to do a stare down. So that was wrong. But we had handled that, or we thought we did, before the event.
So how come you didn't want a face-off today? Or not just yourself, but obviously PBC. Why did you come to that agreement not to see a face-off today?
That's even before the abusive language they used to each other. We said no face-off. And the reason for that is there's a high degree of tension between the two fighters. And to have a face-off is just looking for trouble. And then when the fighters talk the way they did to each other, which, it's words, no harm, they could say anything they want. Then to do a face-off is insanity. Particularly, did you see one security guard on stage? Right. And the reason we didn't put any security guards on stage as the promoter is because Fox agreed, no stare down.
Bob, with the press conference itself, up until the final words, it was very kind of relaxed and chilled, and then we saw it kind of come to life a little bit. Do you think Tyson got underneath the skin of Deontay Wilder with his final words?
I think they're two professionals. I think they each know what they have to do, and that's what they're going to bring to the fight. All this psychology is just babble, I don't think it means anything, not when you're dealing with two really experienced fighters.
Deontay stuck to his voice and his opinion that Tyson had cheated previously. Was it a surprise to you to have seen that back and forth brought up today?
Well, I don't know who's advising Wilder, because it's absurd. Now, one thing, Tyson is a very smart guy, and he said, look, if he wanted to make an excuse and blame me or blame somebody else, pick one thing and say it, and then say, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. If you pick 6 unrelated things and say, who's going to believe you? The referee was drunk. My corner man drugged my water. Tyson put rocks in his gloves. I mean, nonsense things. If it's one thing and it's nonsense, that's a matter of opinion. But if it's 6 incredible things, who's going to believe you?
Edging ever closer towards fight night, Bob, especially on the back of today's press conference. How much more excited does it make you for this trilogy bout on Saturday night?
Well, I'm very excited. That doesn't make me more or less excited. I think it's going to be a very tense moment until the bell rings, and then each guy is going to do what he has to do. And I like Tyson's chances, and we'll see. You know, again, I haven't been doing this just a couple of years. I've been doing it since the 1960s, and so I've seen all of this, fights with a lot of tension building up, and I think we'll see a good fight, and then we'll all go someplace and have a drink afterwards.
Just mentioning how long you've been involved there, Bob, it's just got me thinking. Tyson yesterday said he looks at this current crop of heavyweights and none of them can compete with him. And the question was put to him, does he feel like he would have been better suited to a past era of heavyweights, a more competitive one? Do you feel that Tyson would have been better suited to an earlier era of boxers, maybe the Ali era, for example?
Well, certainly we had, I think, more skilled fighters during the Ali era. I mean, the number was just extraordinary. You know, you just, in addition to Ali, you had Fraser and Terrell and Quarry and, on and on, Norton, on and on and on, Henry Cooper. But Tyson would have competed well in that era because fighters in that era would not have seen a talented heavyweight of that size. You know, Tyson is extraordinary because of how big he is and how well he boxes. That is unusual. We had big fighters before, like Primo Carnero. I think it was just 6'5", but he was big for the time. And there was a Russian guy, Valoev, was 7 foot, but they couldn't move. They had no footwork or nothing. Certainly not anywhere near the footwork that Ali had. But he does. He does. Tyson is a great boxer, and I've never seen as good a boxer anybody his size. I mean, Klitschko was close to his size, but Klitschko couldn't move, neither Klitschko, like Fury.
Final thing, Bob, before I let you go, we've obviously seen today Matchroom have picked up that Teofimo Lopez-George Kambosos fight. I know you'd have liked to promote being Teofimo's promoter, but how much of a relief is it to know that that fight can actually go ahead now, and beyond that you can start planning Teofimo's future for what I imagine has been a frustrating year for everybody involved?
It's been a terrible year, but it's now over. The fight's in the hands of Eddie Hearns. Eddie is a very good promoter, so I'm sure that fight will happen. That will happen expeditiously. And I told Eddie today, I talked to him, that I wished him luck on the fight and told him that we would cooperate with him in the sense of providing him footage from prior Lopez's fights.
Bob, I appreciate your time. I know somebody else is waiting to speak to you. Thank you, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again later this week.
My pleasure.